The underground research facility buzzed with controlled routine until Dr. Harrison's suspicion reached its breaking point. "Run another background check, Security Chief Martinez," he commanded, doubt clear in his voice. The unremarkable woman in standard lab coat stood quietly near the equipment when the automated security system performed one action that changed everything. The effect was immediate. The lab technician's equipment clattered to the floor. Senior researchers froze at their workstations and faces drained of color throughout the facility. No one had expected the base alarm to recognize her clearance code. No one had expected the quiet woman doing routine inspections to trigger maximum security protocols. No one had expected the truth. From which city in the world are you watching this video today? If this story captivated you, please consider subscribing. We share powerful stories of unsung heroes every week. The classified research facility hummed with the constant buzz of advanced equipment and muted conversations. Banks of monitors cast blue light across focused faces, illuminating data screens dotted with red classified markers and yellow security alerts. The air carried the scent of ozone and electronic circuits, mixed with the tension that came with handling top-secret research projects. It was 1,100 hours on what had begun as a standard morning shift at Defense Research Facility Echo 7, buried beneath the Nevada desert. Quality Assurance Inspector Third Class Amanda Walsh stood at her assigned inspection station, deliberately unremarkable in her standard white lab coat and regulation safety equipment. Her brown hair was pulled back in a practical bun, no visible identification except for a temporary security badge. Mid-20s, with an observant face that spoke of attention to detail rather than scientific authority. Her green eyes moved constantly between equipment checklists and monitoring systems, while her presence demanded nothing from the intensity around her. To a casual observer, she might have been any contractor, a recent hire from civilian quality control perhaps, or another face in the endless rotation of inspection personnel. She occasionally made notes on a standard clipboard, her handwriting neat and precise. Unlike the researchers and senior staff who filled the facility with their security clearances and project credentials, she wore no visible markers of advanced clearance or specialized training. Just an inspector, it seemed, with basic access and an assignment to verify routine equipment compliance. The research project underway involved classified development of advanced communication systems for military applications. The project had proceeded through standard phases, initial testing, system verification, and now quality assurance review before final implementation approval. Lead Research Coordinator Williams, a veteran defense contractor with something to prove, managed the inspection protocols with practiced efficiency, moving between workstations and checking status displays throughout the laboratory floor. The communication systems had established testing parameters that required careful verification, Williams explained to the project director, his voice carrying across the research bay. The decision to proceed with final approval created complications for standard quality control procedures. Dr. Harrison sat rigid at the project control console, his face a careful mask. A distinguished research director with 15 years of classified project experience, he looked somehow troubled in his lab coat, as if the weight of the classified research had physically aged him in recent months. Amanda watched it all, her expression revealing nothing. Only the occasional glance toward the main computer terminals that suggested any emotional response to the ongoing procedures. When the project director called for an inspection update, heads turned in mild surprise as Amanda raised her hand slightly from her position at the quality control station. Inspector Walsh has been conducting final compliance checks, Lead Research Coordinator Williams announced. She may have additional assessment of system readiness. She moved toward the main research area with a deliberate precision that seemed at odds with her inspector role. Something about her bearing, spine straight, steps measured, attention focused, caught the notice of a silver-haired security officer seated near the main display. He frowned slightly, studying her with newfound interest. Dr. Harrison, sharp-eyed and methodical, watched her with narrowed attention as she prepared her compliance assessment. The doctor was known for his no-nonsense approach to research security and project protocols. Today, he wore his authority like a burden, his lab coat crisp despite the morning hour. "Please state your inspection findings for the record," instructed Dr. Harrison. Quality Assurance Inspector Third Class Amanda Walsh, Systems Compliance Specialist, she replied. Her voice was soft but clear, her professional bearing perfect. Lead Research Coordinator Williams began his questioning, and Amanda's responses were factual and precise, but delivered in such a measured, quiet tone that Dr. Harrison soon grew visibly impatient. Several times, the project recorder had to ask her to repeat her statements. Inspector Walsh, Dr. Harrison finally interrupted. The entire research team needs to hear your compliance assessment clearly. Please speak up. Yes, Doctor, Amanda responded, barely raising her volume. Lead Research Coordinator Williams continued. Inspector Walsh, can you explain your assessment of the communication system's compliance status? I've been conducting standard verification procedures and monitoring system performance according to established quality control protocols, she replied, her voice still frustratingly soft. I've identified several factors that affect compliance certification based on current testing parameters. And what were your findings during verification procedures? I determined that the communication systems respond normally to standard operational testing. I also noted significant performance patterns that indicate potential security considerations. Did you document these observations? Yes, I logged all system responses and attempted performance analysis through available technical specifications. Was this analysis reviewed by research management? It was not forwarded beyond my immediate inspection supervisor. The project security officer, Major Patricia Voss, approached for additional questioning with a skeptical demeanor. Tall and imposing with steel-gray hair that lent her an air of authority, she moved with the confidence of someone accustomed to challenging questionable compliance assessments. Inspector Walsh, what specific technical training qualifies you to analyze advanced communication system security? I completed basic systems verification during my quality assurance certification program. And what level of security clearance? Her tone suggested the answer would confirm Walsh's limitations. I maintain appropriate clearance levels for quality assurance contractor work, Amanda responded evenly. Major Voss smiled thinly. Inspector Walsh, how could you possibly understand the complexities of classified communication systems and security protocols when you've been conducting inspections for only 8 weeks? Something flickered across Dr. Harrison's face. A brief shadow of recognition quickly suppressed. He studied Amanda more intently now. Objection to characterization, Lead Research Coordinator Williams called out. Inspector Walsh's compliance assessments should be evaluated on merit. Sustained, Dr. Harrison replied, his eyes never leaving Amanda. Major Voss adjusted her approach. Let me rephrase. What specific experience do you have with classified communication systems in defense research environments? Amanda paused before answering, her eyes briefly meeting those of the silver-haired security officer near the main display. My background includes some practical application of systems compliance analysis, she said carefully. Could you be more specific? That information involves previous contracts that may not be relevant to current inspection requirements. Major Voss looked to the project director. Doctor, if the inspector lacks relevant experience with classified systems, her compliance assessments should be considered accordingly. I'll allow the line of questioning, Dr. Harrison ruled. Inspector Walsh, please provide more detail about your relevant experience. Amanda's expression remained neutral. My previous systems experience involves classified contractor programs. How convenient, Major Voss remarked dryly. So we're expected to trust your technical assessments without knowing your actual qualifications to evaluate classified communication systems? I'm reporting on compliance observations I made using established quality control protocols. As the questioning continued, Amanda responded with increasingly precise details about communication technology, security protocols, and research procedures that made several technical officers in the facility exchange glances. She referenced specific system configurations, encryption methods, and security measures that seemed beyond the knowledge base of a standard quality assurance inspector. When shown technical system diagrams, her eyes lingered on them a moment longer than necessary, her composure wavering almost imperceptibly before returning to professional detachment. Do you recognize these system specifications, Inspector Walsh? Major Voss asked. Yes, they represent the communication systems I've been verifying for compliance certification. And your analysis of these specifications proved to be, what exactly? The compliance observations you made about system security. How does that affect current project approval? Amanda's voice remained steady. The systems analysis I conducted indicated communication protocols that weren't reflected in current security evaluations. My observations about compliance standards were documented in my inspection reports. In the research facility, the older security officer with silver hair and multiple clearance badges watched Amanda with growing intensity, his brow furrowed in concentration as if trying to place a half-remembered voice from security briefings. The morning hours passed as lead research coordinator Williams returned for follow-up questions, asking Amanda about specific compliance requirements for the current project. Can you explain the standard protocols for certifying a classified communication system of this nature? Williams asked. The research team would have established primary and secondary verification procedures with security oversight, she explained, her voice still frustratingly soft. Standard protocol requires verified testing results and clearance confirmation at predetermined security levels. And if those procedures were insufficient or compromised, the backup verification would proceed using alternative assessment methods after primary compliance was evaluated, utilizing specialized security protocols on confirmed classification systems. She explained with a level of technical precision that raised eyebrows among the research staff present. Dr. Harrison leaned forward, his patience visibly wearing thin. Inspector Walsh, I've asked you repeatedly to speak up. This research facility cannot properly evaluate compliance assessments it cannot hear clearly. I apologize, Doctor, Amanda replied, her volume barely increasing. The older security officer in the facility now sat forward at his monitoring station, his eyes never leaving Amanda's face. Recognition seemed to be dawning slowly, his expression shifting from curiosity to something closer to alarm. Major Voss seized on the doctor's frustration. Perhaps Inspector Walsh's reluctance to speak clearly reflects her limited confidence in her own compliance assessments. Lead Research Coordinator Williams stood immediately. Ma'am, that's inappropriate speculation. Noted, Williams, Dr. Harrison replied sharply. Major Voss, confine your remarks to relevant questions for the inspector. Major Voss nodded in acknowledgement. Inspector Walsh, in your assessment as a quality control professional, was there anything about the communication systems that indicated modified security requirements? Amanda looked directly at the main system display for the first time. The compliance assessment suggested security modifications beyond current protocol estimates. That wasn't my question. Based on what you observed, should security procedures have been modified? Based on the system patterns I identified, yes. But my assessment was not included in project planning. Major Voss's expression hardened. Are you suggesting that compliance information was deliberately ignored by research management? I'm stating that the systems analysis I provided differed significantly from the security assessment that was distributed to research personnel. The research facility stirred with murmurs. Dr. Harrison tapped his pen once against his desk, restoring order. Inspector Walsh, Dr. Harrison said, his voice tight with growing impatience. You'll need to explain that assertion clearly and audibly for the research staff. What specifically was different about your analysis? Amanda paused, her eyes scanning the research facility briefly, before returning to the doctor. When she spoke, her voice remained soft, forcing everyone to lean forward to hear. My systems analysis indicated that the communication protocols included security features using encryption normally reserved for intelligence agency operations. That information was not included in the compliance briefing provided to research personnel. Dr. Harrison's head snapped up, his carefully maintained composure cracking for the first time. The silver-haired security officer's expression darkened as he studied Amanda with new intensity. Inspector Walsh, Dr. Harrison said firmly, frustration evident in his tone. This is the final time I will ask you to speak louder. The entire research staff must be able to hear compliance assessments accurately. Amanda looked directly at Dr. Harrison. A look of quiet recognition passed between them, though the doctor quickly masked it with professional detachment. The veteran security officer in the facility was now gripping his monitoring station, his knuckles white. Dr. Harrison finally interrupted with visible impatience, leaning forward at his project console. Inspector Walsh, we don't have all morning. Speak clearly or we'll proceed with project approval without additional quality control input. The research facility fell silent. For the first time since beginning her assessment, Amanda looked directly at Dr. Harrison. A look of quiet recognition passed between them, though the doctor quickly masked it. The silver-haired security officer near the system display leaned forward, his hands gripping his monitoring station. Suddenly, the facility's automated security system activated, and alarms began blaring throughout the complex. Over the loudspeakers, an electronic voice announced, "Security alert. Clearance code Omega-7 Alpha detected. Initiating maximum lockdown protocols for Agent Classification Ultra." Every door in the facility sealed automatically, and all personnel froze as they realized the system was responding to Amanda Walsh's presence with the highest possible security classification. The effect was immediate and electric. Dr. Harrison's pen fell from his fingers, clattering loudly on his desk. Several research staff physically straightened at their workstations as if witnessing something impossible. Major Voss's face drained of color. The silver-haired security officer near the system display stood up involuntarily, then slowly sat back down. Complete silence fell over the research facility as recognition dawned across various faces. Some looked confused, others shocked, and a few, those who understood the significance of what they had just witnessed, appeared stricken. Amanda continued in her normal soft voice, but now everyone was straining to hear. "That alarm recognizes my clearance code because I was the lead systems designer for the Omega Protocol Communication Network 4 years ago. I was also the chief security analyst attached to Project Nightshade, which Dr. Harrison personally reviewed 3 years before today's research began." She methodically produced a worn, waterproof security case from her lab coat pocket and held it up for the research staff to see. "This contains classified development records from Project Nightshade, not the sanitized reports filed with defense contracting. These communication systems aren't just research prototypes. They're based on technology one designed before my project was terminated and my clearance was officially revoked." Dr. Harrison attempted to call for order, but found his voice failing him. "Inspector Walsh, this is highly irregular procedure for project assessment. My project team and I were declared victims of a security breach during Project Nightshade," Amanda continued calmly. "I was the only survivor. I've spent 3 years working under assumed identity and waiting for another project to utilize the same technology, not for personal reasons, but to prevent other researchers from being endangered by compromised security protocols." A younger research technician near the system terminals looked up in confusion. "This is impossible. Lead designer Walsh died in a classified security incident. I process contractor casualty reports myself." The silver-haired security officer turned to address him. "Stay at your station, doctor," he said quietly. "Look at that security system response. Automated protocols don't recognize deceased personnel." Amanda opened her security case to reveal development. Blueprints, security clearances, and classified documentation. "My team was eliminated because we discovered General Rebecca Stone was facilitating technology transfers to foreign intelligence services through a network of compromised defense contractors, the same network that provided the false security specifications leading to my team's destruction." The research facility erupted into controlled chaos. Dr. Harrison tapped his pen repeatedly on his desk, finally restoring some semblance of order. His face had lost all color and his hand trembled visibly. "This research facility will pause current operations for 30 minutes, he declared, his voice unsteady. But before anyone could move, Amanda spoke again. "With respect, Doctor, this communication system contains the same security vulnerabilities that destroyed my team. I've waited 3 years to speak. But current research is proceeding with compromised technology that could endanger national security." Dr. Harrison slowly leaned back in his chair, his authority visibly shaken. He nodded once, a gesture of reluctant permission. "Project Nightshade was classified above top secret," Amanda continued. "Our mission was to develop secure communication systems that could operate without risk of foreign interception. We created encryption protocols and security measures that represented the most advanced communication technology available. What we discovered was that General Stone was providing our development specifications to foreign intelligence agencies through a sophisticated espionage operation with technical records linking directly to enemy governments." She turned her security case and removed an encrypted data chip. "This contains system blueprints, encryption algorithms, and communication protocols. We transmitted this evidence before we were compromised. That transmission was intercepted and our research facility was destroyed. Our team was left to die." Major Voss stood, her voice hollow. I received direct confirmation from General Stone that Nightshade team had been confirmed Kia. The project was terminated due to security breach circumstances. We weren't dead, Amanda said simply. We were very much alive and calling for immediate evacuation. I heard your voice on the command frequency, Major Voss. You sounded confused, but you relayed the termination order. Lead Research Coordinator Williams approached Amanda cautiously. Lead Designer Walsh, if what you're saying is true, how did you survive? And why assume a false identity for 3 years? Amanda's composure never wavered as the facility remained in security lockdown. I survived because I was separated from my team during the final assault on our facility. I was wounded, unconscious, presumed dead along with the others. Defense contractors found me and kept me hidden while I recovered. By the time I was functional again, the official story was established. My team was dead, the project had been compromised, and General Stone had been promoted to advanced research oversight. She looked around the research facility, meeting the eyes of several senior staff members. I needed time to gather evidence that couldn't be easily buried again. I needed to understand who knew about the technology transfers and who was simply following compromised orders. Most importantly, I needed to make sure no other researchers would die because of the same security failures that destroyed my team. The silver-haired security officer approached the central research area. Doctor, request permission to address the research staff. I am Agent Marcus Webb, retired Defense Intelligence. I was the security liaison for the Nightshade project. He turned to face Amanda. Lead Designer Walsh was one of the finest systems architects I ever worked with. If she says her team was betrayed, I believe her without question. Major Voss interjected. This is all highly dramatic, but it has no direct bearing on current research operations. Communication systems development proceeds according to established security protocols, not some conspiracy from years ago. They're connected, Amanda replied as the security alarms continued around them. The technology being developed here includes the same security vulnerabilities from Nightshade that foreign intelligence agencies exploited. Current research is proceeding with compromised specifications. History repeating itself. Different project, same betrayal, same source. She pulled another document from her security case. This is a development summary showing that my team reported security vulnerabilities directly to General Stone 6 times before our facility was destroyed. We were told explicitly that questioning security protocols would compromise critical research programs. We weren't being paranoid. We were trying to protect national security. Dr. Harrison studied the document, his project leadership demeanor cracking further. These security reports weren't included in the research briefing I received for today's project evaluation. Because they were deliberately removed, Amanda said, just like current security assessments are being modified to hide ongoing technology transfers. And just like the evidence was removed from Project Nightshade after my team was eliminated. The research facility had grown absolutely still despite the continuing security alarms. Every person present was aware they were witnessing something extraordinary. Even the research technicians had stopped their routine monitoring, staring at Amanda with undisguised astonishment. Lead Research Coordinator Williams approached the project console. Doctor, in light of this new intelligence, I recommend immediate review of communication system security and potentially suspending current research pending security assessment. Dr. Harrison nodded absently, his attention still fixed on Amanda as the facility remained locked down. Granted, all research operations will implement enhanced security protocols immediately. He paused, then added, Lead Designer Walsh will remain under protective custody until these matters are resolved. As staff began coordinating the operational changes, Amanda spoke again. There's something else you should know, Doctor. She removed a final document from her security case. This is the original authorization for Project Nightshade with your signature from when you served as research liaison. And this, she produced another paper, is the termination order that condemned my team. The authorizing signatures don't match. Dr. Harrison took both documents with trembling hands. Someone forged my signature on the termination order, he whispered, shock evident in his voice. Yes, Amanda confirmed. You've been carrying responsibility for a decision you never made. The termination order came directly from General Stone's office. The retired Agent Webb moved closer. I always questioned why you would terminate that security research, Harrison. It didn't align with anything I knew about your scientific integrity. Dr. Harrison looked up, visible emotion crossing his face. I've spent 3 years believing I made a call that ended crucial security research and contributed to my team's death. I authorized the project liaison, but I never authorized abandoning them to die. The facility communications crackled, and a team of federal investigators appeared at the sealed entrance, led by a stern-faced senior agent. What is the meaning of this maximum security alert? The agent demanded through the intercom. Dr. Harrison, I'm Agent Patricia Foster from the Defense Criminal Investigative Service. We received an anonymous intelligence package yesterday containing evidence of serious breaches of national security involving General Stone and technology transfers. I understand there may be connected evidence being reported in this research facility. Amanda smiled faintly as the security lockdown continued. Right on schedule, she murmured. Agent Foster's voice came through the intercom. You would be lead designer Walsh, formerly of Nightshade. I would be. We have extensive questions for you, designer, starting with how you survived and why you assumed false identity. And I have answers, Agent Foster. 3 years worth. The agent's voice continued through the facility communications. Dr. Harrison, with your permission, I'd like to take custody of the evidence lead designer Walsh has provided and arrange for her protection pending a full investigation. Dr. Harrison nodded toward the intercom. Granted, but I want to be kept fully informed of any evidence relating to current research security and potential technology compromise. Of course, Doctor. It appears several ongoing projects have been compromised by the same source. The research facility began to clear of non-essential personnel as security protocols allowed, but Major Voss remained at her monitoring station, looking shell-shocked. Amanda approached her quietly while the facility remained in partial lockdown. I don't understand, Voss said, looking up at her. Why would you risk exposure? I'm the one who relayed the termination order that left your team to die. Because you were another victim of the same security compromise, Amanda replied simply. You followed what you believed were legitimate orders from a trusted superior. The guilt should rest with those who manipulated you, not those who were deceived. How can you be so certain I wasn't involved? Amanda allowed herself the smallest of smiles, glancing at the security systems still responding to her presence. Because I've spent 3 years studying every detail of what happened. I know who facilitated the technology transfers and why. I know who altered security reports and who profited from the intelligence sales. Most importantly, I know you requested confirmation twice because you suspected something was wrong with the termination order. Major Voss's eyes widened. How could you possibly know that? Those communications were classified. I had help, Amanda admitted. Not everyone in defense research was compromised. There are still good people within the system who wanted the truth to come out and who wanted to prevent other researchers from dying because of security failures. As she prepared to leave with Agent Foster's team, the retired Agent Webb approached as security protocols began to normalize. Lead designer, he said formally, then dropped his voice. Amanda, we held a memorial service for the Nightshade team. I spoke about your dedication to protecting national security. I know, she replied quietly. I read the transcript online. Thank you for honoring their sacrifice. What happens to this research project now? Amanda looked at the system displays showing current facility operations. Now it proceeds with honest security assessment and proper vulnerability testing. National security can be protected because someone finally told the truth about technology transfers. The research facility remained suspended in a moment of shocked revelation as security systems gradually returned to normal. Dr. Harrison slowly stood from his project console and removed his research credentials, setting them on his desk before stepping down to stand on the same level as Amanda. This facility recognizes lead designer Amanda Walsh, presumed killed in action, recipient of the Defense Superior Service Medal, he announced formally, his voice carrying a weight of regret and respect. The retired Agent Webb approached Amanda and rendered a respectful acknowledgement. Others throughout the research facility followed suit, a ripple of silent recognition spreading through the room. Research personnel who had moments ago regarded her with skepticism now stood in acknowledgement, honoring a fellow researcher whose integrity had cost her everything. Major Voss, visibly shaken, stood to address Amanda directly. I never knew who actually gave that termination order. I've been carrying this responsibility for 3 years, believing I contributed to ending important security work. I know, Amanda replied. Your voice on the command frequency that day. I heard your confusion. You questioned the order. Twice, Voss confirmed, her voice breaking slightly. They told me I was risking national security by questioning administrative decisions, that the security concerns had been addressed through other channels. Dr. Harrison's professional demeanor cracked as he turned to face the research staff. I authorized Project Nightshade Liaison based on communication security research that indicated critical national defense applications. I did not authorize the termination order that ended the project. The signature was forged. You've been living with responsibility that was never yours to bear, Amanda confirmed. General Stone used your research authority to cover her own technology transfer activities. Agent Foster's team finally gained entry as security protocols normalized. Dr. Harrison, I'd like to request a formal suspension of current research operations while we secure this evidence and establish proper protocols for what happens next. This has implications for multiple ongoing projects and potentially dozens of personnel. Dr. Harrison nodded. Current operations will continue with enhanced security protocols, but all communication system research will be immediately reviewed for potential compromise. He paused. Major Voss, in light of the evidence presented, you are relieved of any responsibility for the Nightshade incident, pending complete review of the circumstances. As federal investigators began securing the research facility and escorting people to debriefing areas, Amanda opened her security case and carefully displayed photographs showing General Stone meeting with known foreign intelligence contacts and defense contractors. This was never about recognition, she said softly, addressing the facility at large. It was about preventing other researchers from dying because of security compromise, and about making sure national defense serves American interests rather than foreign intelligence agencies. As she descended from the research area, her shadow stretched long behind her across the facility floor, the shadow of a systems designer standing at attention rather than a quality assurance inspector checking compliance. For a moment, she paused to look back at the system displays showing current research operations. The research staff was coordinating with proper security information for the first time in years. Dr. Harrison was directing projects with restored confidence in his security systems. Major Voss was working to identify other potentially compromised research. Agent Webb watched her from near the project console, his face reflecting a complex mix of pride and determination. Amanda gave him a small nod before continuing toward the exit with Agent Foster's team. Her mission wasn't quite complete. There would be extensive debriefings, federal investigations, and probably congressional oversight. The full scope of the technology transfers would need to be exposed, and those responsible held accountable at every level. But the most important part was accomplished. The truth was out, and researchers could once again trust that their security systems were working to protect national interests rather than serve foreign intelligence agencies. As she reached the research facility exit, a federal marshal approached. Lead designer Walsh, Agent Foster has arranged secure transportation for your continued protection. If you'll come this way. She followed the marshal toward the exit, conscious of the eyes following her progress. Research staff, technical personnel, security officers. For 3 years, she had lived invisibly, unremarkable and unnoticed, gathering evidence while pretending to be a routine inspector. Now she walked openly, her clearance restored, her purpose fulfilled. The older veteran caught up with her just before she reached the exit corridor. Lead designer, he said quietly. What you did, surviving, maintaining your cover, gathering evidence, coming forward at the right moment, it was extraordinary. I had a duty to my team and to the researchers who came after us, she replied simply. It was more than duty, he insisted. It was courage of the highest order and security work of a quality that protected national interests. Amanda allowed herself a small smile. You taught us well, Agent Webb. I taught you procedures and protocols, he corrected. What you demonstrated today, that came from within. He watched her leave with the investigative team, then turned to Dr. Harrison, who had joined them. Some heroes never get the recognition they deserve, he said quietly. They just carry the weight of protecting others. Dr. Harrison nodded, watching Amanda's figure disappear down the corridor. And some truths are worth waiting years to hear. The morning light continued to strengthen as Amanda's escort vehicle pulled away from Defense Research Facility Echo 7. Behind her, the research facility buzzed with renewed purpose as defense operations moved forward with proper security protocols and adequate vulnerability assessment procedures. The research staff worked with restored confidence, knowing their projects would proceed without foreign intelligence interference. Ahead lay the challenge of ensuring complete justice was served and that the full scope of the technology transfer network was exposed and dismantled. But for now, in this moment between what was hidden and what would be revealed, the simple act of speaking truth had transformed a routine compliance inspection into something profound. The power of one researcher's quiet determination to honor fallen comrades and protect national security, even when it meant sacrificing years of her career to gather the evidence necessary to expose betrayal that powerful forces had tried to maintain forever. As her vehicle reached the main gate, Amanda's radio crackled with an update from the research facility. All security protocols have been restored to maximum classification. Investigation proceeding with full federal oversight. Amanda closed her eyes and smiled for the first time in 3 years, knowing that this time, national security would be protected by honest research rather than compromised by foreign intelligence operations.